account. Set it up because it's 4, 5, 6 years old, so LinkedIn is not really going to ask you for your identity proof, etc. And use these LinkedIn accounts to kind of reach out to people. Remember, this is risky. I don't advocate doing this, but there are people who want to live on the edge. You can purchase these accounts and they may cost anywhere between 100 to 1000 to $1000 depending on the age and reputation of that account, and use these accounts to reach out to people. That's another way you can do it. But if you're willing to spend $2000, why not just put that money into ads? And you can run this very, very effectively. $2000 can go a long way on LinkedIn to get you good leads, good connections, good networks, and good discussions going. I don't know why people do the former rather than the latter, but it's each one to their own. These are all methods. These are all methods of kind of quickly getting start generating leads using LinkedIn. And since LinkedIn, you can narrowly focus. And how narrowly can you really focus? Let me also tell you that you can start with an industry. Let us say you start with the mining equipment industry. You can say, I want to talk to people in the mining equipment industry. I want to talk to the people located in Scotland, and I want to talk to those people who have at least 10 years of experience. So there is an option in Sales Navigator for 10 plus years of experience, and who the company whose headcount has increased by 5% in the past 6 months, and search. And you will end up getting maybe 500 or 600 people you will be able to talk to in that particular location, maybe even less than that. And that is a good list. And this 100, 200, or 500 list is not very difficult to scrutinize. You can just go to each and every profile one by one and open and see if that's a relevant person or not. Add them to a lead list. Lead lists are available within Sales Navigator. That function is available. Create that and connect with the right people. You may spend 1 week doing that, but trust me, the because the list is so well defined, those connections are going to be very relevant, and the chances of you getting a meeting, a connection, or even a phone call is very, very high. How high? As high as 80%. If you craft your communication properly, instead of saying, hey, here is the laundry list of things that we do, and sending a huge message with 20 items in that, just say something as simple as, hey Jason, saw the recent post about the uptick in the industry thanks to the new policies of the government. Fantastic news for the industry overall. I am in a similar space, would like to connect with you. Very simple. Takes 2 minutes to scroll to their profile and see what they have done recently, but that connection is more authentic rather than mass connection where you say, hi, I'm from the same industry, let's connect. Right? There's no personalization matters. Again, another thing that I have noticed on LinkedIn off late, I think since I've come on Clubhouse, there's a tendency to send a connection request. Fantastic. I accept majority of the connection requests, but then what happens is after the connection is made, the other person says hi. I really don't know how to read beyond a hi. There's no emotion attached. There is no, there is nothing. There's not even a full stop, just a hi. And what should be the response? Another hi, probably. And so I say hi. And then the response comes is, can you help me? No context. I've had these conversations, I think about 10 or 12 of them so far in the past 30 days, approximately. Um, it always amuses me because anybody who says this usually follows up with a very, very random type of request that's got nothing to do with what I do or what they do. and and it's always amusing. And guess what happens then? I just block the person because they are time wasters. They are wasting my time. This, me sitting in India, and in India people don't block you really. I mean, somehow we are very generous and there is a tendency to accept every request. Try doing that in US. First of all, people will not accept your connection request. Secondly, even if they do, the first time you send them something nonsensical, They will block you. A minute ago you were a first connection, and then you see you're a second connection and you can't communicate with them anymore. Cultural nuances matter. Please do not randomly spam people in different countries assuming that their responses will be the same as in your country. No, they're going to be very, very different. In India, you send 100 requests for connection, about 50 or 70 people will accept it, and then nobody will respond. Maybe five people will respond. I don't know why that happens. Maybe again cultural nuances, but I've seen this across industries. In US, out of 100, 20 people may accept your connection request if it is well crafted and if it's on point. Out of the 20, 10 will respond if you are making sense. Right? So be careful. Do not measure the number of connection requests as number of leads. No, the leads would be when people actually are interacting with you, and you are able to get them to a stage where they say, okay, let us have a chat on phone or in person or whatever that is, right? That's when I would really say that your campaign worked. Otherwise it's wasted. I can give away a couple more tricks. In Sales Navigator, when you search, there is a on top, after the search is done, on top they show people who have the total number of people that you have searched for, maybe 5,000. People who have changed their jobs in the past 90 days, maybe 100 of them have changed. People who have been active in the past 30 days, that may be about 1,500 of them. And these are powerful, these are very important. Why? If you are in the software industry, if you are in the software selling industry, selling a software to somebody, when a person changes their job within the first 90 days, and if they are a decision maker, they are more likely to buy within the first 90 days of a new role. Powerful data here. So use that very carefully. People who are active on LinkedIn are more likely to respond to you, and you are more likely to personalize your message because they are active, right? So try and reach those people rather than everybody in your search list. It doesn't help you. That is a second thing that I will tell you. Third, do not ever comment or compliment anybody on their image, picture, photo, or say that nice vacation photos on Facebook. You come across as a stalker. Please don't do that. It's a professional platform, so kind of maintain that and keep it professional. I'm saying that because I have got weird people messaging weird things to me. um, well, those are some things that I can talk about right now, but are there specific questions, Anuj? Anything specific that comes to your mind?
No, in fact, after getting the SSI score, I've been just Googling a bit to understand on how to use it like a pro in order to up the game. So let's say there are certain areas where my score is just 11%. In most of the other areas, I am at 21, 25. So I was, researching a bit to understand how we can, because a lot of people, when they will do their SSI score, when they get their score in play, they will be having these questions affect parameter one, and so and so forth. So that's where I was coming from.
So, Anuj, my suggestion would be ignore SSI for the time being, right? Let us talk about the basics that you have to get right on LinkedIn. Because SSI score, as I said, are blended. They are not really that well, let's say, separated, that you do one thing on LinkedIn and one type of score will increase. No. The kind of there's a blending of actions versus the score. It's not 100% clear. There are a lot of speculations out there, but trust me, they are not 100% correct. Okay.
No, absolutely with you on that, Anup. Neither I'm taking that this to be an Oscar, which will help me to get a recognition. I'm just trying to, these are tools which basically helps us to reflect back. It's a generic report card for people to look at things and doing it in a little different manner. So, all from that perspective, I'm not taking this to be an authority. I completely agree with you that this is not something where people should be really bothered about, but having an understanding of what your score is and where do you stand in the industry, it gives you the references on what are the areas you need to work upon, only from that perspective. And yes, my first question was actually from the perspective of let's today focus on the basic side of it because it will help everyone in the room how to use LinkedIn as a platform which is available for free of cost. And once the basics are in place, we can always move them into the paid aspects of. I'm done speaking.
Got it. Got it. Right. So the basic thing that everybody has to do is number one, get your profile correct. What do I mean by your profile? Most people ignore because the first thing you see on LinkedIn is what? The feed. And there is some juicy stuff there. Oh, somebody got funded. Oh, somebody is, going on a travel. Somebody is crying about their boss, etc. Right? But here is the thing: you have to focus on your profile too. Do not make the mistake of ignoring the profile. Why? When you message somebody on LinkedIn, what shows up? If you are in front of a computer, just go and open your message box and see what shows up, right? And you'll be surprised what shows up is your name and your title. What is the title? The headline that you have put on LinkedIn. The headline shows up. And if the headline shows up, then shouldn't the headline be a very, very important part of how you're optimizing everything? Your LinkedIn profile optimization starts at the top. And when I say at the top, it means starts at your profile picture, the background that you're putting there, your name. Of course, you can also now pronounce your name so that people know how the pronunciation itself, if it is, I mean, there's got some intonations there. And you can also do a video introduction. Now all those things, features are available for various set of people. It gets rolled out slowly. All features are not available to everybody. Then you can have that service provider tab where you say talks about what all do you talk about, right? So all these things are at the very top. We call that the first fold, right? I mean, as soon as you open LinkedIn profile on a computer, that's what you see. Interestingly, many people read or use LinkedIn on the computer rather than on mobile for some reason. So have a good profile picture, have a background. Don't make the background like a party picture or something. Just put something simple. Couple of lines are enough. You can go to canva.com and you can just type in LinkedIn background image and it'll give you the right size and some options there. You can use that to create one. It's very easy. It takes less than a minute to do that. Now, at the top, after your name, immediately after your name, there's something called as a headline, right? I know Anuj has a headline which says, "I'm a plumber who fixes your marketing leaks." My headline says, right now it says filling sales pipelines for B2B businesses. I keep experimenting with it. And you can change this. This has got nothing to do with the title or the role at present, but more to do with what benefit you are giving to your customers. Change this. Have a conversation because you're just curious. Instead of saying CEO of Light Bulb Consulting, that's what Anuj's actual official role is. And Anuj, I'm just taking you an example. Okay?
Thank you,
Uh,
Anu, for the PR.
but here is the thing: if you have something which is, let's say, focused, and if I am running a campaign, I would probably change it. I will not say filling your sales pipeline or something like that. I may have something more focused, right? And when I say more focused, um, let's say if I'm trying to talk or you know run a campaign for people who are into SAP implementation. SAP is a ERP uh, software, a very large one, and there are a lot of people who implement SAP across the globe. And if I'm reaching out to somebody to offer my services, for example, then I will not say filling your sales pipeline, but rather I would change it and put it as help, you know, uh, creating or rather, let me just think about this a minute. Appointment setting for SAP implementers. Suddenly it becomes very relevant. Wow, you're going to set up appointments for me. Fantastic. That the context is so clear there, right? That one line, and that one line can help you, really help you if used well. I can talk about it for a long time actually, and how to create that one line. Very simple. Start with this formula: I help X, X being the clientele, do Y being the benefit you add or the problem you solve for them, without Z. Now, this without Z part is optional, but without Z, Z is differentiation from the competition or existing solutions. So it could be something simple like I help coaches improve their sales without paid ads. I help coaches improve their sales without paid ads. In fact, this is something I've used in the past. Now, this I help thing looks very strange, right? How do you transform it? Now you have the main pieces, right? So you can change this. Free sales for coaches. You can say that sales without effort for coaches. Up to your copywriting skills, but you have the pieces with you. Now you can change it, and that one headline can become a very powerful tagline when you are approaching people for lead generation, sales, and whatnot. uh, so that's the formula. And it's not very easy to do it because primarily this I help X, people get stuck in X. Who's your customer? Everybody. Who's your customer? Everybody. Is that person working outside as a security guard your customer? No. So there's a process of elimination for many people before they figure out who their customer is. But if you don't know who your customer is, if you don't have a precise idea or precise write up about it, don't use LinkedIn. I know it's a little harsh, but don't use LinkedIn. You'll waste a lot of time, effort, and energy doing that if you are not precisely targeting on LinkedIn. So please be careful. Now, you know X, you don't know Y. That is what value you're adding, what problem exactly you're solving. Most people have a fair idea, but they start with, I do this. This is my skill set. But think beyond that. You use this skill set to do what? To help create a video, fantastic, but that is just the output. But what are you in fact helping people do with that video? Communicate better, improve social media engagement. What is it? What is that video supposed to do? So think about that, and that is your second piece in the puzzle. If you combine these two, you suddenly have a very, very powerful one line tagline that you can use under your name in your profile, and you can change it n number of times, how many ever times you want to. There's yet another thing. When you go and edit your profile, now there is something called as creator mode. Earlier it was available to certain set of people, now it's open to everybody. Creator mode, when you do creator mode, let me just go to Anuj's profile here. I'm sitting in front of a computer. Okay, so I'm at Anuj's profile, or okay, oops. Now I'm connected with Anuj, so I can't see that. But what you will see is follow. You'll see a button called follow rather than connect, and this connect button kind of gets hidden under that more. There's an option called more, and it gets hidden there. So once your connect button is hidden, what happens? More people start following you. That is creator mode. The creator mode is open for people who are creative or create content or are thought leaders, etc. Instead of having 10,000, 30,000, I think is the limit on LinkedIn connections. They keep varying that. I'm not sure what it is now. But instead of having thousands of people to manage in a network, you have people who just admire you and follow you because of your thought process or the content you create or the things you teach, which is great. And that's why the follow button is there now. So instead of having a large
Right.
network of random people, you have a follow button now. Use creator mode if you don't want too many connection requests coming your way. It's hidden away, and most people are too confused about where to click to find that. They don't know yet. I mean, it's not very popular yet. So that is another thing you can do. You can also do something called as talks about, which is basically the service provider space. What do you talk about? What are your expertise? That also comes right there at the top, right? And these are all simple things to do. I'm not even talking about the rest of the LinkedIn profile. If you just optimize this much, trust me, your engagement rates will improve and your score will improve. That SSI score that you talked about, Anuj, this kind of connects with there. And there's a lot of stuff that happens because you have kind of improved your top part of the profile itself. And if you scroll down, you have the activities that show up, your about section. Now this is interesting, right? Most people, what do they write in the about section? They write about themselves. They write about their experience. They write about what they have done in the past. But that is not required. Why? If you scroll down, the experience section is right there. And when you have another experience section, what is the point of summarizing all that in about section? So what should the about section be? About section is a mini advertisement page. That is the place where you can tell people what you do for them. Use it to talk about your customers, their problems, what you solve, how you solve it, etc. And this ensures you can, and there's 5,000 characters allowed there, and it's a long list of things that you can write. So with 5,000 characters available, instead of just talking about yourself over and over again, talk about your customers, talk about the problems you solve, talk about the 3 4 very specific things that you help them with, talk about how they can reach you, etc.
to the content side of it, because when it comes to LinkedIn, everything and anything is about content. Yes, undoubtedly, having the right kind of followers or connections is also very critical. Having said that, one thing which I have personally felt, because I'm also into the intangible space, is that as a consultant we might have a plethora of knowledge or experience to talk about it, but the simplification of that knowledge in the eyes of the audience is the most important part of it. Because I when I used to was on LinkedIn in my with my previous company, the content was all about what I wanted to push across, or it was more with the jargons which were pretty relevant in my industry. But my target market used to keep asking me on the back channel, sorry, on the inbox, LinkedIn inbox, about certain terminologies which were being used, or questions around what are you trying to tell, or what are you trying to say. And if you go and take a look at my LinkedIn profile, or let's say even the Insta profile, the content which we have started lately sharing it on our walls is all about simplifying that same knowledge in a common man's terminology, so that they're able to connect. I can say for sure that in the last 30 days, the amount of lead generation we have done on LinkedIn, and these all leads are basically coming in from my existing connections, and the amount of engagement which is happening mostly on the inbox side of it, because these are businesses who are sending messages. They would like to know more. How can we do certain things which they sound too good to be true, but how can we bring that change? And that is not something that they're disagreeing. They are agreeing with it. So I would say simplification of that knowledge in the eyes of the customer, your target audience, is the most critical side of it. A lot of times people tend to make it extremely, I would say, content which is hard to understand or hard to translate to their benefits. Uh, so I'll end it up by saying the benefits. So there are two aspects of knowledge. One is a knowledge which we felt was one, and second is a knowledge which basically talks about the benefits of that knowledge in the eyes of the customer. So if the benefits of knowledge are communicated in the right manner, the customer, gets the message loud and clear. Roland, coming to your second question, can you just help me, or maybe I'll ask Anup to answer the second question because I kind of forgot the second question. Maybe if you can reiterate the same, I would be happy to answer. Or Anup, if you have thoughts, you can go first and I'll go after you.
How to build the relationship? That was the second question. Roland, very simple. All relationships at some level start with trust. We inherently trust brands that we know, right? If it's an Nestle or if it is a Nike or whether it is a Samsung or an Apple, somehow subconsciously there is some amount of trust with that brand that is built, even if we are not yet a customer. So when you post on LinkedIn, build that professional social brand out there, you improve your credibility. Therefore, the chances that the potential customer is trusting you. It does not build a relationship for you. I would not say that. But it improves the ease of building a relationship. And how does that happen? Very simple. If today I approach and I have my network and relationships built hidden away on LinkedIn messages. I message people, and that's how I build these trust thing and all that. I send them the note. Now, when I talk to somebody like that, they know, hey, Anup talks about these things and he's done this many things. Therefore, it's easier to speak with. So, think of it as a lubricant to build those relationships. You still have to do the hard work of building that relationship and selling. But how long it takes to sell can change based on how easily the person trusts you. And they trust you because there's a brand. And on the first question that you asked, unless you are one of the 180 people certified to uh, audit the engineering of a locomotive, you are in a competitive industry. That is one area I know where there are only 180 people in the world. Everywhere else, there are thousands. There are 7 billion human beings on the planet. Many of them are on LinkedIn. And whether you post it or not, somebody else will post something else, which is similar to what you're thinking. Um, Again, right? Are they also educating the competition? Probably yes, but they have also attached their name to that piece of content, that to that thought process. And if they keep reinforcing that, they get kind of recognized for it. So it's not about how far or how long you can hide it away, rather how soon can you use it to build a brand around it. So I kind of think of it in the opposite direction, because just by sheer chance somebody else will post something very similar. 7 billion monkeys typing on the computer, somebody will produce a Shakespeare. That's my thought, Roland. Hope that helps.
Um, so, Roland, it's a sheer coincidence that my today's post on LinkedIn is actually kind of answering this question. So, I would just share a few lines. So, the title of my post is "How to Inspire Our Audience," and that's exactly in conjunction to what your question is. So, I've mentioned a few points out there. It's the first is that the ability to inspire and motivate people as part of a conversation, and followed by which is knowing your audience is extremely critical, because if you're connecting with wrong set of people, you're possibly having a conversation with the wrong set of people. You're spending your time at a wrong place. And finally, be real and connect with your audience, because and I'm just reading a few, not reading, but I'm sharing a few lines. There is an exhaustive description of each and every point given. I've also given the reference links from where I got these certain points. And the third point is be real and connect with your audience in the most, I would rather say your authentic self. Leaving a very important aspect where we make the audience accountable to come and reflect back in terms of whether that conversation was right or not, whether they have a question around that space or not, whether they would like to bring that kind of a change in their given businesses or not, and so forth. So, inspiring the audience is all about helping them to see their own vision and not ours. And this, I'm hoping, will further, help in creating a higher engagement with the audience. I hope this.
No, I think you, Anup and Anuj, you both gave some really good gems there, because it ultimately boils down to number one, knowing your audience. And I was also coming at this two questions from a perspective of, look, where are we in the world? We are coming out of a pandemic, right? The pandemic has taken a toll on both large and small businesses as well as individuals. And I guess when you have individuals and startups coming out that don't have a brand, what becomes really critical is how you define the problem, how you understand your audience, not so much what is the solution you're suggesting. Does that make sense? Or did I misunderstand your comments?
That's right, Roland. You're absolutely on the same line. Roland, I hope we were able to address it at large. If yes, then can we move to the next person in the
Yes, please do. I'm not the only one here.
PTR?
Thanks.
Thanks, Roland. I appreciate your understanding. Hey, Rohit, thank you so much for your patience and thanks for joining in. The mic is yours.
Thanks, Anuj. Thanks, Sunu. A really intriguing topic. Could not stop myself from joining it. I have a few questions, but my other questions depend on my main question. So I'll follow up. My main question, first of all, is that are we talking about the inbound marketing or outbound marketing here? Just to get the context.
Both.
Okay, both. So normally, many of us have the corporate LinkedIn account, basically your professional account, where you show the experience of working with many organizations in the past and where you're currently working at. Now, if you happen to be a freelancer also apart from your regular job, what do you suggest in terms of lead generation, in terms of building relationships? Would you continue with your main profile and add your freelancer expertise or your freelance experience in the same profile, or would you create another profile and then promote it?
If you create another profile, one of them will get banned. LinkedIn does not encourage a single person to have more than one LinkedIn profile. And remember, LinkedIn is a Microsoft company now. So a lot of security setup is being done at the Microsoft end. And there have been instances when LinkedIn has asked people to prove who they say they are on LinkedIn by providing some government ID card. So be very careful about it. Do not open another profile. And any new profile, fresh profile, is put into a sandbox to see how it behaves. If it's a spamming profile, and if you're trying to do too many things at the first instance within the first 2 3 months, they will anyway ban it. People are losing their LinkedIn accounts because they're trying to be very clever, trying to circumvent the algorithms. It's not happening. So be very careful, Rohit. I would recommend, if you are doing a job and you have the permission from your organization to do freelancing work also, put that in the same LinkedIn profile and switch over your headline. That is the line that comes below your name. You can edit that out and make it more benefit oriented rather than the job oriented. That will help you both from the freelance as well as the job perspective, assuming your freelancing and the job are in similar lines or approximately in the similar industries.
Thanks, Anu. But I think in terms of seeking permission from the organization, it's never explicit, as you would understand, right? Especially if you're working for a large corporation, it becomes even more difficult that you cannot simply ask your manager or anybody else for that matter, or you cannot expect anything explicit in nature to be able to make this decision of changing your profile to mention the freelancing. You never know because you are also following your own company, and there could be certain objections, and you don't want to take that risk. Which is why my earlier question was about that. How if you have to do this, if you are seeking, if there's any way that being a permanent employee, you can also promote your freelance services, what would be the what would be your tips or any best practices that you would like to share in that
I
case?
have I have a different thought on this, Rohit. Right? Understood. You cannot get permission from your organization, and there might be some issues. If you have another trusted person in your life, right, a brother, a spouse, or somebody else who's currently not working or is also a freelancer, or has a LinkedIn account but hasn't used it for 3 4 5 years, you can use that account because there is a person attached to that account, right? You can reach out to people and ask that person to put together a kind of a company name and use that company name when you are dealing in your let's say freelance journey. So rather than putting your name, you have a company name there which this other account is using. And when the works come in, the work or the client comes in, you deal with the client. Very simple. Organization need not the CEO of an organization need not deal with the client all the time. So that is another way you can circumvent this issue. uh, Hopefully that's helpful, Rohit.
I appreciate that, Anu, but it's not that simple. It's a bit complicated because if you have a name of your brand that you are a freelancer of, then it is a different matter. But if you are an individual and you want to promote yourself individually, and then it's a different story altogether. And if I try to do the same with another person's name, it could be anybody in my relation, then people would look for that evidence. And as we were talking about intimacy earlier, the trust, the intimacy that you would like to build in your relationships with your client, they would look for evidence. They would look for your credibility. There's so many things like that which you could possibly may not be able to show or put under somebody else's name unless you have your own name attached to something. So you know where I'm coming from, right? That which is why I said it's a bit complicated, which is why I'm
But
looking for some.
Rohit, you have already complicated your life by working with another company. The client will anyway come to know that you're moonlighting and you're working in another corporate and you're doing freelancing work. That anyway hits your credibility at one level or the other. Depends on the client how they take it, right? So you are in a complicated situation. You have to make the best out of it. There's one way to do it on LinkedIn. I would not recommend using a fake account or a secondary account which is under your name. That'll get you into trouble unnecessarily. So given all the constraints, this might be a good way to explore. If this doesn't work, well, you will have to probably go and get the permission from the corporate, which seems to be the harder way out, right?
Yeah, I got it. Thanks
Hey
for the
Rohit,
inputs. Yeah.
my suggestion to you would be don't do that. If you're working with a Fortune 500 or a multinational company, every single of those companies have a very standard SOBC policy, which is standard of business conduct, which completely restrict the employees from a dual employment. My personal take would be don't put your foot into something which will backfire and it will make things worse for you. So that's my submission. I hope this helps.
Definitely, Anuj. Thanks for that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, each and everyone, for joining us today. We have crossed the limit by 9 minutes, but thank you once again for staying with us and asking all the great questions and helping everyone else in the audience to learn something new today. Anoop, you were absolutely amazing when it comes to, always when it otherwise also, but today was a really good room on these in the space of LinkedIn. So thank you so much for adding that value. Before we end the room, we'll go into the PTR from the back and take their parting thoughts. So Rohit, 15 seconds to you, your parting thoughts about the room today.
Joined in very late, but for whatever duration I was here, I'm definitely fascinated by the way you answered the questions, and I'm sure that this whole hour must have been exciting. If it was for an hour, more than whatever time people have spent here, I'm sure it would have been worth spending. Thank
Thanks, Rohit. This room was from 5 to 7 p.m. Yeah, sure. We look forward to seeing you, in our upcoming rooms. We'll just talk about the same. We start at 5 to, we go from the weekdays is 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. With that, we'll move to Roland.
you. Is it every day? Sorry, Anuj. Is it every day
Yeah,
or
we
a
have,
particular day?
yeah,
Okay,
we have LinkedIn
5 to
Mondays,
7. Okay.
we have email Tuesdays, we have WhatsApp Wednesdays, and we have a Thursday designed for coaches and consultants. And finally, we give it a break on Friday, and then we move back into Saturday with our flagship room, which happens on the weekend at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday. So you can follow the mods. You will be notified about the rooms which we are hosting, and with that, we'll move to Roland. Roland, thank you once again for joining us and for asking, such an amazing question. I'm sure a lot of people in the room were able to get benefited out of it. 15 seconds to you, your parting thought.
I would say my takeaway from today is very simple. There are many tools, there are many channels. Have clarity of purpose, understand your audience, and get going. I'm done.
Absolutely. That was a golden nugget. Thank you so much for summarizing it so well. Uh, Anoop, the mic is yours.
Hey, um, it's always a pleasure, to join at 5 p.m. In fact, I look forward to that. Finish your work fast and let's do something at 5 p.m. because having all these lovely people here as audience and the type of questions that come in helps you learn a lot. Sometimes I'm stumped because I really don't know the answer of the questions, and I have to go back and study upon it, which is always good, right? You're being pushed to learn new things about the areas you have already explored and go deeper. And I just look forward to that challenge more often than not. I know there's one room, yeah, that you missed out on, which is 9:30 p.m. one.
Yes, I,
you know,
every time I
there's
forget
this there's
because
this
I am
room
not a
that
mod in that room and I'm sleeping by
you're
that
welcome
time.
to join. You're
No, no,
welcome to
I'm just
join
kidding.
anytime.
I've lately started getting into the bed a little early and waking up early. So yeah, but I'll make sure to join in soon. Guys, do not miss out on this room. There is a room happening in the space of content. Today, the topic is about emails, sorry, websites. So do go and join this room at 9:30. You can follow Anoop and you'll be notified about the same. Anoop, I hope I did the justice.
Thank you so much, Anuj. Yeah, so these 9:30 rooms are a little more loosely structured, and all are welcome. We can have a lot of banter, a lot of unintended comedy also happens in that room. So it's kind of a wind down room. So please feel free to join at your leisure. With that, back to you, Anuj. Thank you for modding with me today. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Anoop. So, guys, before we close the room, a quick heads up for to each and everyone. This is the time you open up your Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, mark the time and the dates and the subject. Tomorrow is going to be the Email Tuesdays, where we're going to talk about what is cold and cold emailing or warm email marketing and various kinds of aspects around the space of email. Wednesdays is WhatsApp Wednesdays. What we do on WhatsApp Wednesdays is we basically help you in helping to grow your business using WhatsApp as one of the channels. This Wednesday, we are going to focus on pre-sales and post-sales, how you can create an amazing customer engagement using WhatsApp in the pre-sales and the post-sales environment. So do join us. And followed by which on Thursday, we will have a room specifically designed for consultants and coaches on how they can grow their business with the help of an effective marketing strategy. So if you are into the space or you know somebody who is a coach or a consultant and is struggling, do give them an invite. And you can find the link in my bio as well as in Anoop's bio, and you can always share the link with them. And finally, on Saturday, we have our flagship room. So with that, thank you once again for joining us. It was a pleasure to host you all, and thanks for the patience of staying with us until 7:14. This room was supposed to end at 7 o'clock, but I'm glad that we were able to close it, well in time. So thank you once again, guys. I'll give it 5 seconds before I end the room. You have all the time to go and follow up